Okay, guys, well, we have been sitting here chatting about the past, you know, about things.
And possible future.
Possible future after, you know, it's your bachelor party. It's,
right,
you know,
it's the beginning of a new era.
Yeah, we've been making a few ribald jokes.
Indeed. Know? And so...
and now we are almost to destination. And
we are, according to this, 1 mile away. And when we left Spartanburg, ETA was 10:11. Now we're at 10:01 ETA.
He shaved 10 minutes off and gave us some breathing room.
And the bitch in the box is going to keep talking. And I apologize for that.
But we can't take a chance.
We can't take a chance.
We can't take a chance.
250 yards. Turn right on Valentine Commons Parkway.
So,
but we wanted to get a little bit, we realized...
some trick
Turn right on Valentine Commons Parkway. Then turn right on Elm Lane.
You got it.
Okay, we're going to do it. We got a little carried away with our reminiscing and such, and
we got here quicker than we thought due to my 90 mile per hour
Continue
driving in
0.2 miles on
55.
Valentine Commons Parkway.
a literal 90 mile per hour driving.
Literal, yeah.
We realized to our chagrin that we hadn't talked track at all before seeing the movie.
So what has Next Generation, aside from Lursa and Bator,
Turn right on Elm Lane.
which I just, you know, that just hit me. Bator. Bader?
Master Bader, yes.
Just hit me. But, you know, what has every movie, aside from the semi-lamentable Generations, been lacking? And that is...
production?
No.
Budget?
No.
Adventure?
Lursa and Bator. No.
What are you getting at? I can't think with that bitch.
Klingons.
Klingons, yes. Oh, thank you. That is a good talking point.
And I haven't spoilered it for you. And you know,
I found out. I wish I hadn't. They did a great job of teasing this movie, and in all of the trailers that they put out.
350 yards. Turn right.
Do you need that
on
anymore?
On unnamed road. Oh, there it is. No, we're good.
Are you good? Turn it off. Okay, good. So here we are, folks. We are turning into a... Oh, man. I think I've got my Regal card. Yes. I get to use my newly minted Regal card. How sad is that for me to even talk about? Okay.
So, Klingons.
We're talking about Klingons. And all the trailers they put out, they teased a lot, but they didn't do anything about Klingons.
They were looking all around the head, but they were never giving you full-on cock action.
And I found out like 2 days ago there were Klingons in the movie, and I wish I hadn't, because, man, that would have been a great experience. But unfortunately, I would have soiled my pants, I think, because I heard also that they're using the Jerry Goldsmith.
You know
score.
what else you didn't?
The Klingon music, you know.
You know what else? No. So you know what else you didn't do on the way up? Was read the last issue of the 4...
No, I brought it with me, dude.
Yeah, of the 4-issue IDW prequel of prequel of Into Darkness. Into Darkness? I don't know. But anyway...
I did not, but maybe that will lend a little bit more...
Well, so Captain April had taken control of the Enterprise using his little side...
Oh, so where I was at, you know, actually I told you I was on the fourth one?
Yeah.
I had actually not finished the third one, so where I left off was April and Mudd were imprisoned on the Enterprise.
Okay, well, basically, do you want me to run it through for you real quick?
Do I need it for the movie? Is it
a little bit, but not entirely. Basically, if I'm remembering correctly, Captain April, I know he takes control of the Enterprise using this backdoor system that he had designed into...
Backdoor babysitter?
Into that system that runs the Enterprise, and they were totally locked out. They had to retake control of the bridge. It dealt with the Prime Directive, all that good stuff, and... you know, they worked their way around it, but the end was John Harrison scanning himself into a Starfleet facility, and that was...
So that leads directly into the movie. Okay.
Yeah, so Captain Robert April made his official appearance.
Yes, which is very cool that they're going back and
not just
visiting that mythology. And
well, that was the non-canon, you know, that was animated series.
Yeah, so that makes it even cooler that it was animated series. They went back and looked at the animated series. But Robert April was a captain before Pike.
Yes, right. And only in the animated series was he ever even mentioned.
Is April going to make don't tell me, but tell me, that's not much of a spoiler.
I don't think he does, no. I read the synopsis on Wikipedia earlier. I can't help myself.
But other than Klingons and what I suspect, Harrison to be, what we all expect him to be as Khan, but I don't know for sure. I haven't read the for sure spoilers, so there's going to be a good deal of surprise for me.
Close your eyes for a second.
No, all right, close my eyes. Don't, man, I can't, man. I can hear your lips moving.
No. Yeah. So, okay, go ahead.
Okay,
I could have been saying he's not, or it's not.
I kind of got a feeling you're saying he is.
I could have been saying that. I could have been saying he's not. I could have been saying he's fucking.
You could have been saying I'm a cocksucker, for all I know.
Well, since you guessed it, I guess I can tell you. He loves the cock.
I have no love for the cock, except my own, when it's in the vicinity of a vagina.
Or
there,
your
I
hand,
said it. Okay.
Or a fleshlight.
It's out there. All right. So anyway, we're at the theater. We've got, what, 5 minutes to spare now?
6.
6 minutes. I thought so. I just wanted to say
we gotta go redeem the code to get from Fandango to this. Somebody will probably be confused and it'll fuck us.
Fandango, baby. We're about to go into darkness. We're very excited. No, because we're going to end on some lens flare.
Woo! JJ Abrams, this is for you, baby.
I cannot wait. Okay, so we just got out of Star Trek, the LIEmax 3D experience. Let's move into some better light, shall we?
Yeah, let's. We're backlit there.
Backlit, yes.
Watch these sprinklers.
You have to get on the left. He always has to get on this side.
Yeah, I do.
I have to be in the foreground, and he has to be back here on the left. I don't know.
It's the way. It's the formula.
It's
Never
the way.
Deviate.
So bottom line. What's your bottom line? Let's get our bottom lines out of the way for Star Trek Into Darkness.
Technically, or what we saw, or just the movie itself?
Just an overall sense of your experience of the movie.
Well, I enjoyed the hell out of it, first of all. Maybe it was just the moment, maybe it's the celebratory circumstance, and it put a neat twist on it. Are we doing a spoiler alert here?
I think we'll keep this one spoiler free.
Spoiler free.
It's hard with this movie, man.
Well,
it's
now
hard.
if I were to say that it took some classic plot points,
no, you can say that, yeah,
and put the new spin on them, it really felt like this universe, this timeline has hit its stride.
It's
that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, it did a lot of reversals.
Yes, I mean,
when you see the movie, you know what I mean.
Old, or what was once old is new again.
And things that happened before are happening again, but in a different way, and perhaps with different characters.
Roles are reversed.
Yeah, roles are reversed. Which I had a problem. I'm going to go ahead and say I thoroughly enjoyed it as a big spectacle. And but what I want to say is,
two vapid teenage girls are about to get in a car and go by us or something. Go,
look at those Trekkies. But no, what I want to say is, I think there's going to be a lot of hardcore Trekkies, going back to the original series, original films. People have been fans of Trek for a long time.
You trying to say we're not hardcore?
No, we're hardcore, but I'm saying there's going to be a lot of hardcore Trek fans out there who probably will not like this movie. For reasons that we may get into later, probably in a spoiler-filled review.
I was just gonna say
you'd have to spoil.
You're insinuating that we're not hardcore. We are going. That camera.
Oh no, we're hardcore. When we get into your room, those of you who haven't seen your room.
Look in my office. It's ridiculous.
No, I'm not saying we're not hardcore.
I got you. Continue.
I'm saying there are going to be some hardcore fans who. Okay, here's my take on it. The Abrams reboot, I loved it, and I thought it was great, but, they had to drop some stuff. They had to move the story along. They couldn't...
And they had to action it up.
Yeah, they had to action it. They get production values, we got to have...
Modern audiences, right. Attention spans, the length of a gnat, that sort of thing.
Right, so the great thing is he brought in this whole new audience. They, in turn, got interested in the old Trek, and Trek made money, so that means we get more Trek.
That means we got Blu-ray. That means we're getting Next Generation on Blu-ray.
Yes, and that brings me to my point. There's all kinds of... Star Trek the Motion Picture was vastly different from Star Trek 2. There was Star Trek 4, which was pandered to the general audiences. It was
The
way out.
environmental awakening of the time.
Yeah, it always, it was always socially conscious, but, and then there was the original series, which was campy, and then, you had the Next Generation, which was, more serious and exploratory, not as campy as the original.
Philosophical.
There's all kinds of styles when it comes to Trek. This right now,
DS9 was more dark, more.
and then you had the Next Generation movies, which started turning into like horror films.
Yeah,
they were like very dark,
lost
kind
sight of what they were doing.
But my point is,
and don't forget Enterprise.
Which again
which was this
very
sense
different
of wonder, of discovering things for the first time.
Which, by the way, I've been watching on Netflix recently.
Your opinion change?
My opinion is changing. Because of what you just said, they're experiencing everything for the first time. I'm seeing that.
It's really my favorite of all, in a way.
I'm appreciating it for the first time. I didn't watch it.
Underrated.
Yeah, I haven't watched it since it first aired. But anyway, and the point of that is Enterprise is vastly different from Next Generation, from the original series, from the movies.
Even with some of the same creative teams.
Right. So my point is, I can see through, I remember all of that. So I know this Trek is Abrams' Trek. This is big spectacle, adventure, big special effects, verging on sort of like a Transformers type thing. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean, it's a big CG spectacle, but done very well.
Yeah,
done
nothing seemed out of place.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces, but I mean, there were some
character things. I had a problem I had was with my arms getting tired. That's what she said.
Do you want me to hold the camera for a moment?
Yeah, you hold the camera. I'll smoke the cigarette. You hold the camera.
Do
we have to change positions?
You're gonna have to reach into my pocket for the.
No, I'm not gonna do that. All right, so.
But
there were. You know what?
Move up. Jackass is coming through.
Boom.
Yes. I have a V8 as well. My cock is still bigger than yours.
It's in my pants. Anyway. Can we even concentrate at this juncture?
Oh yeah, totally. Very, very.
There was a lot of pop out.
There was a lot of pop out, but it wasn't like things flying at your head, except for a spear at one point.
More pop out than I've seen in I think any 3D movie I've been. Post converted 3D movie. There was all that debris flying
aside
through the
from
air
some flatness in faces, I really couldn't tell that it was post conversion.
Yeah, I couldn't. I didn't. They did an excellent job on that.
And it had everything. Scotty's been aged a little bit, and
they toned his humor.
Really, it fit perfectly.
It was a little more sophisticated. He was a good balance between the old Scotty and what his interpretation
Simon Pegg's Scotty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kirk. Basically the same. I would say Chris Pine's interpretation of Kirk does a good job.
Yeah.
Quinto as Spock. Everything sort of continued.
Zachary Quinto looked slightly bloated to me. Did he to you?
Well, I think when we get to the framing, I think there was more to it than that. I think they had the wrong lens on it as well. I'm sorry, but did you notice everybody's face looked a little fat?
Yeah, it may have been, and this goes to, and no offense to this Regal in Charlotte, Piper Glen or whatever it is.
Again, there are some people who are going home tonight probably weeping. Their first experience of the new Star Trek film was ruined because
first of all,
15 minutes into the movie,
there's a scene between Pike and Kirk in a bar. That's not really spoiling anything.
The frame froze.
The dialogue continued.
The dialogue continued, and we were like, "Oh, this is great." This is our first viewing.
I'm liking this new this new way. We just get to have the visual for ourselves.
It's an experimental film. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just visualize and look at Pike's face.
Then when it came back, there was a good 4 or 5 feet, and it varied between the IMAX footage and the regular, which was to be expected, but part of it, was being projected 35 feet out into the ceiling.
So, and then the bottom of the screen, like you said, was a good 4 feet of just black.
And then when it would switch to standard widescreen,
it would go up further.
Yeah, it would go up even further. So, but apparently, yeah,
whatever. It was fucked up.
Yeah.
So the framing was fucked up.
Yeah.
And also, I suspect the wrong lens was on because, as you notice, people's faces looked a little
fat. And to clarify what he was saying, he wasn't questioning JJ Abrams and the lens flare and whatnot, or the DP whoever that was. I didn't even look.
Yeah,
but
I should know though.
Yeah. But the theater maybe they had that off, and in the end they did make it right. They gave everybody passes that are good for IMAX showings and everything.
You didn't address what was worse to me than the framing, and that was that the audio, when it came back, the audio was out of sync.
It was out of sync.
It was like watching a Shaw Brothers martial arts film.
A quarter of a second.
It was enough to make it horrible.
It was enough to make it noticeable in non-action scenes. In dialogue-heavy scenes, it was very noticeable.
And that's why I cannot, right now, give it a grade.
Yeah.
I couldn't say this is A or B plus or whatever, because this out of sync, situation. Not only was there bad framing, but the out of sync was the real problem with her performances. I can't judge it.
I think
completely.
Alice Eve did a great job, and she's in it just a little
know,
Peter Weller. Wow.
Yeah. As I said, they all did a great job, but I don't know how great of a job they did, because the audio was out of sync, and that really pestered me. But you know what? I still enjoyed the fuck out of this movie.
Yeah, I did. It was the most fun I've had at a movie since, I don't know, The Avengers. I mean,
Star Trek or no, this is how you do an event film.
Yeah.
This is how you do a summertime
tentpole
spectacle.
Yeah. It was a hell of a ride.
That we could talk further about since we are deep into the lore. You notice that there was a lot of reference to the Wrath of Khan. In fact, they lifted exact dialogue.
That's a little bit of a spoiler alert, but by now it's probably not so much of a spoiler because everybody's heard it.
Right. Yeah, and this probably won't go up for a couple of days.
Yeah, most people will have seen it, but yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Again, maybe the sync. That moment that I don't want to. I
could tell it was like suspending. It was distracting. I wouldn't say suspending your disbelief. It was distracting the shit out of you. And
it was the framing distracted the hell out of him. He kept looking up at the ceiling.
Yeah, because I was seeing 3D image popping down from the ceiling.
Whereas the sound sync distracted me more. But
right.
Anyway, we could have been a couple of really pissed off guys. But you know what? We're pretty easy
and they were very cool about it. They
gave us passes.
They gave us passes.
They gave us 2 each because he explained we drove all the way up here. It says bachelor,
hour and a half. It was an big event for us, and I did it very quietly so that they weren't doing that to everyone. Because
I think all they needed to do was see our Star Trek shirts. I could have shed a tear, maybe. That might have helped.
Yeah, so they made it right, and we actually got to hear a little bit about what was going on behind the scenes. They apparently had to have IMAX techs remote in and see if they could fix the problem, and they were saying if they had stopped the movie, that the IMAX techs couldn't guarantee them that it just wouldn't ever start back up again.
So there was a problem with the system, not with the hard drives, which they now ship. It's interesting that used to see the film canister sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Now they just ship them hard drives that they put into the system. Now the thing is, the system was messed up, so they made the call to keep the film playing out of sync. Bad framing, and I don't know if that had to do. I don't know if.
To me, if you
they just don't want to touch it. Basically, as they explain it to us,
IMAX techs have to come in and service the system.
These guys do very little. If there's anything that goes wrong, IMAX, you can't touch it.
Yeah,
these employees can't touch it.
It's a big brand.
They send in an IMAX technician to fix a system, and these people are not allowed to touch it. So
yeah,
it was interesting to find out.
Immediately, I was like, I need to find out how I can find that IMAX tech job, because me being the problem-fixing dude, I would kill for that job. So anybody out there that has a connection to IMAX and you have a mother-in-law or something that you want dealt with, I can handle that. And but seriously, no, IMAX. Call OJ.
Give OJ a call. He really wants to be a tech. I don't know.
I think it would be great. I mean,
I don't know. It sounds stressful to me, especially if you
they
got a
said
big
they'd be in
film going.
Within a couple of hours they'd be out here.
Yeah.
I think that's what
how would
they
you like to
said.
have the stress of knowing that all the showings tomorrow on Friday you have to fix this before this happens?
Yeah, but there's probably a certain troubleshooting sequence and everything, just like with all equipment. I mean, you can't, it's not like fucking esoteric, randomness that you're having to pull out of your ass.
Bottom line, the guy really wants the job. So,
so
it's just turning into a pitch video for IMAX that he wants a job.
So, but no, I mean, it was a great movie, and you know what? There's a fucking tribble in it. There's a fucking tribble.
Now, the funniest part about that, some of the comedy timing was off again because of the sync. But that was hilarious because it was all in Kirk's face.
Yeah.
He made a face while he was talking to Khan. This is not spoiling anything. And there was a tribble there. But we didn't know it. You just saw Kirk have this distracted look on his face, and he was like,
"What's the Tribble doing over there?"
He's like, "What's that doing in here?" Because you know he already hates Tribbles at that
well,
point. It's funny.
and the funny thing is to see the IDW series, not the one that you were reading, but the one that's been going on. I think we're at issue 16, 17 now. But it's been following along with a lot of the episodes.
Because there was the issue with Kirk being a hothead and making wrong decisions. And this was sort of, the film also was an evolution of Kirk himself. His maturation into being a real captain, you know. Not just someone
shot.
straight out. Because, you know, and I'm glad they did that because at the end of the first film, of course, he goes from cadet to captain at light speed.
Bam.
You know, and suddenly he's on the bridge. Let's go exploring. And they kind of went back and revisited and said, okay, maybe that was...
We need to take him down a peg.
Yeah, we need to...
He needs some perspective.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So
And there was some great comedy. And, you know, again, the Carl Urban, who plays
so
Bones.
dead on. So dead on.
Great,
Always.
as usual. Everybody carried over their roles seamlessly from the first film. Again, but except Simon Pegg, I think he did an exceptional job because
Yes. Apparently, Edgar Wright guest directed a scene in the movie at some point.
That's
so
interesting.
there's another little tidbit.
That is interesting.
Little connection there. So,
But yeah, some of the comedy with Bones, you know, they even made a remark, you know, enough with the metaphors.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, there's a lot of. They touched on a lot of Trek for older fans. But now, I did have a few issues, but I'm not going to go into that right now because I just is going to geek out too much. You know?
Yeah, it was so, you know, I know you're not going to give it a rating.
I can't give it a rating yet until I see it, you know.
Sheer plot and visuals, flawed though they were for this showing, I personally, I'm prepared to give it an 8 out of 10.
I think
8 OJ heads out of 10.
8 OJ heads.
We need a graphic that'll pop up and going like...
Bring. Yeah, I'll get right on that. You know, between shooting her pictures and standing up. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, bottom line, must-see movie.
Yeah,
must-see.
really.
For Trek fans or no Trek fans, if you want to see spectacle, if you want to be taken away, go see this. Go see it IMAX if you can. Go see it in 3D.
Yeah.
The 3D, I thought, you know more than I do. He's seen a lot more 3D. I'm not a big 3D fan, but this was great. I thought 3D was really good. There was depth, and there was there's actually stuff coming out.
This is the first time that I've seen a movie, and I mean I've seen IMAX 3D presentations before. The last Harry Potter flick was the first one that I saw, and I will say I've seen that at home, and it equaled it. Now this was the first one that I was like, okay, this is way better than watching it at home.
Yeah,
I mean, biggest ass screen aside. Harry Potter equaled it. It wasn't any better. It wasn't any worse.
This
was
the post conversion.
It was really quite.
I mean,
amazing.
I imagine if they had actually shot it in 3D, how much better could it have looked? I don't know, but
approximately only a fraction of it's in IMAX. I believe a third or something like that is what I read.
It'd be interesting to see how they do the framing. Of course, the first one was done the same way, minus the post-conversion IMAX experience as well. But anyway, folks, I guess bottom line, we loved it, you know, and later on maybe we'll talk some nitpicky stuff.
Yeah.
But
no reason to now. We're just basking in the glow.
Yeah, and definitely want to see it again. So,
yeah, by the next time you see me, I will be a happily married man.
He'll have a ring on his finger. So,
yeah.
All right, I'm Crazy Jason.
And I'm Other Jason. And this has been the Kakalaki Movie Madness Destination showing of Into Darkness.
Star Trek Into Darkness, baby.